live here with the man, the myth, the legend, Tony Blauer, looking shredded.
It's Photoshop. It's a new Photoshop program.
Well, it's working for you. I need to borrow it. What's led to this? I mean, you've always been in pretty good shape. You always are known to be somewhat athletic, always good looking, but
somewhat athletic, yeah.
Somewhat athletic.
People always say I thought you'd be taller when they meet me, and that's a Roadhouse reference. But I guess I'm too old, and people don't know what Roadhouse is.
Patrick Swayze.
Good, thank you. But soon it'll be Ronda Rousey, right? She was just cast. She's doing a remake of, and that's sacrilege for a lot of people. But I'm anxious to see it.
They're making Roadhouse. They're making Point Break as well.
Really? Oh, that's cool. That was a badass movie too. That movie actually got me to jump out of an airplane. I was sitting there watching that. I went, if that's what skydiving looks like, I'm doing it. And I actually went. I saw the movie on a Friday night, and I went on Sunday.
Badass. That doesn't surprise me. But
yeah.
You've led me to a question already. Tony Blauer steps into an octagon with Ronda Rousey. Who's winning this fight?
If she mounted me and got me in a triangle choke, I'll last as long as I can. But I'm really not going to fight that hard.
Yeah, exactly.
What did I just say? Can we edit that part? Who's going to win? She would kick my ass in a sport fight.
In a sport fight.
Yeah.
Get it.
We always got to make that distinction, and people hate that. And I've got this like group of people that go, yeah, spear system and self-defense, and then I dig all that. And then there's this massive group of haters who think that I'm, criticizing or putting down what they do, and I'm not at all. It's like Olympic lifters bad-mouthing CrossFitters, right? It's a completely different. Even though it looks like we're doing similar things and doing movements that share similar, kinetic chains and range of motion and go up and down and push and pull. It's completely different, right? And so I always make a distinction that hey, there are classical and traditional martial arts, and that's a segment. And you've been involved in martial arts for years, and this with BJJ is amazing, but you start introducing ground and pound and blunt trauma, and a lot of those guys can't make that change into that next arena. Does that mean Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu sucks if you can't do MMA? No. Does it mean MMA is... No. It's just, it's different. But it's recognizing these distinctions and just respecting them. But for me, self-defense is the most important skill anyone can have. We would drop all our materialistic desires, all our PRs for the ability to live another day if it was like, keep your Fran time and lose this fight tomorrow, or you got to watch somebody you love get... seriously hurt in a robbery, in a rape, in a mugging, in a carjacking, but you get to keep your PR time, right? Or give that up to have better situational awareness, better verbal skills, and the ability to protect yourself or a loved one. But I'm a little biased. But the three distinctions: traditional classical martial arts, combat sports, and then self-defense. And if I said to you, list all these, this is a fun exercise. So, Jason, list all the martial arts you can think of, right? We'd be here for like several minutes. You'd listen, okay, list all the combat sports. Well, that would be a much shorter list. Boxing, kickboxing, MMA, all the different, subdivisions of MMA, from like UFC level to Vale Tudo to, all these different variations of multidiscipline striking, Thai boxing, pancration, right? We're running out of stuff. And then if I said list all the styles of self-defense, well, there should be none. I mean, self-defense is self-defense. It's like, what happens, God forbid, you're in a real fight. But anyways, you get what I'm saying? So that's really my focus, and it confuses people. I just want the world to be safer. That's all.
It's a good place to be, and you are doing a great job at it. You have the CrossFit Defense course still going on. How long has that been around now?
Well, it officially started in 2012. That's when we actually launched it. When you hosted me, was it Be Your Own Bodyguard or CrossFit Defense? It might have been Be Your Own Bodyguard. We were beta testing it for a year or two.
Be Your Own Bodyguard, it was the spear system, but I don't believe it was specialty seminar just yet.
Right. So you were one of my beta tests. We started getting calls from the community. I mean, for people who don't know, I met Coach Glassman in 2006. It was kind of an interesting seminar. Bill Henniger was at it. It was like, this is like a long time ago, pre-games. And I went out there and did that. And, back then, and it was so funny because back then, Coach Glassman and I talked about, hey, one day we're going to do something because he's really into the ability to protect yourself. In fact, he said at a seminar, it was epic. It was at one of my combatives camp. There were like 200 people in the audience. And he said, hey, if I had a choice between perfecting my deadlift or knowing how to protect myself or my family, what do you think I'd pick? And I'm like, wow, that was the founder of CrossFit that just said that to these people, like staring at him, mesmerized. He went on to say it was the time Chuck Liddell was the UFC champ at the time. He said, I know for a fact that I'll never be in an octagon fighting Chuck Liddell. I can guarantee that, right? And he said, but I don't know if I'm going to need to defend myself or my family. It's an important skill. And he talked about 3 kind of survival modalities all humans should possess. The ability to move about the planet, so functional movement, sounds like CrossFit. He said you need to know how to swim if you're going to live on the planet Earth. And he said, unfortunately, you need to know how to fight. It's kind of cool. And this was all pre-CrossFit Defense, but we were always talking behind the scenes and just the op tempo of CrossFit and the games and certainly my company moving from Canada to the US and all the work we were doing with the military. But in 2012, we finally made it official. And so it's been going on, several years. What a lot of people don't realize, it's interesting, is when CrossFit Defense launched, we had all these people online going, CrossFit, stay in your lane. Now they're teaching self-defense. It's not enough that they think they have the best, fitness protocol. And that's my haters' voice, by the way. That's the haters. You like it? Yeah. And so it was funny because people didn't Google, like, what is CrossFit Defense and what do we do? And like, I've been teaching for 36 years and we've been doing our personal defense readiness, which is a weekend seminar since 2001. Like, I think me and my team know what we're doing, right? And we teach from Department of Defense all the way down to women's shelters and everyone in between. So organizing a program and putting it together was pretty easy. What took me 2 years to do, like the course you did, I would love you to get to the official CrossFit Defense course, because it's morphed so many times. I've rewritten the lesson plan, I would say 18 to 20 times in 2 years. And I would go and I would watch, like, we had one seminar, I did one at Rogue, and I had 3 games champions in the class. I mean, it was epic. I was like this. And then I'm like watching, holy shit, they're having trouble with this particular move or this sequence. How is that possible? And I realized that a purist, a pure CrossFitter doesn't understand some of the dynamics that, let's say, that you would learn in yoga or in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or in other martial arts. There are certain proprioception and angles and movements that we learn that our body through osmosis and movement gets that slinky feeling that you're not going to get when you're working with weights and a rack and a bar, because your movements are much more controlled. But there's an amazing engine that CrossFit creates, and there's a personality that's attracted to CrossFit that predisposes CrossFitters to be way more mentally tough, both through adaptation, but also there's a gene, right? As an experienced CrossFit coach, when someone walks in, whether they're going to last. You can see it in their eyes, even if they're 100 pounds overweight. You can hear it in their voice. That person won't quit. And so it has nothing to do with whether you're a games level. And I'm not, I'm preaching to the choir. But that's the thing that fires me up. When I was 20, I wanted to make the world safer, and I always say that it was like I want to make the world safer, and being able to work with CrossFitters as actually after 3 decades of coaching, professional coaching, is all I do. It gives me that opportunity, because very often I'd be teaching a self-defense seminar, teaching people like cutting edge, fucking state of the art info, and they'd be like, well, I don't know if I could do this. I go, well, so you're in this fight with a serial killer. You really don't have a choice. Yeah, but what if this doesn't work? Well, if you do nothing, you're going to fucking die anyhow. So why don't you do something, right? And it's kind of interesting. But when I work with CrossFitters, they're like, why don't you guys try this? And they're off doing it, right? We had a camp 3 years ago where I had a group of CrossFitters, a group of brand new people, and a group of law enforcement, military, experienced martial artists. Guess which group I had to regularly say, guys, slow down. Guys, stop bleeding. No shit, bleeding. The fucking CrossFitters. Guys, slow down. Slow down. I just showed you this stuff. I know you're excited. So I love working with CrossFitters just because they've got that. Anybody that was going to get up at 5 in the morning to go do a hero WOD, take a shower, and then go to their regular job, that's a person that's going to connect to our whole block on indignation. Like, no, bad guy, get out of my personal space, right?
Do you think the fact that most CrossFitters, because of their physical capacities, are more confident, so it leads them to being more likely to do what you're telling them? They just feel more confident in doing the movement? Or should something go awry in their real life, they have the confidence because they're stronger, they're fitter than probably the person attacking them?
Yeah, well, definitely that. I mean, if you actually look at the statistics of who are the bad guys, and it really depends on, like if you looked at, you remember that knockout game bullshit that was going around a couple of years ago, I mean, you get swarmed by 6, fucking douchebags that are 17, 18 years old. It doesn't, real fights are happening in like 10 seconds, so, your Fran time could be 2 minutes, but that sudden ambush you've got to get to the left of the ambush. So the big thing is situational awareness. You don't need good fitness to get out of a real fight. And anybody, if their life's on the line, if they're really in danger, can fight for 20 seconds. But to come back specifically to your question, it's both. I have in all our classes, the CrossFit athlete that shows up at the class is working more intensely and working more aggressively at trying to understand and grasp the drill. But they still, when they like anybody, gets performance anxiety when you're struggling with a new movement and you get analysis paralysis. Everybody suffers with that. I was working with my coach yesterday, and he was going over some just finessing some stuff on a squat clean. And I was pulling early and doing something, so he goes, listen, you do this and fill this. And I was like, suddenly I was like, oh, fuck, I'm in my head. Well, I'm Mr. Fear Management mindset, but it's a new movement that I want to do well, and it's frustrating me that I can't. So, I'm screwing up with these little micro adjustments. That's the big thing in the course, is that we're human beings. You know what? There's 168 hours in the week. CrossFit isn't dangerous. Driving to the box is dangerous. Driving home is dangerous. If you got a good coach and good equipment, you're fine, right? And so when we're doing the stuff, a CrossFitter in general is more confident, just let's do it. But there's still a learning curve in the situational awareness. And then, so we broke it down like there's 3 kind of organic stages to anything in life: awareness, fear spike, fear management, functional movement. And so so whether I'm opening a new box, asking somebody out on a date, defending myself, contemplating a partner or an investment, anything in life, you need to have situational awareness, right? You got to go, I didn't know that. Was I supposed to read that document before I signed that? Right? That's situational awareness. I didn't know I can't park here. Why'd they tow my car? That's situational awareness. Oh, I didn't know those 3 guys were looking at me and then attacked me. Get off your fucking phone and look around, right? Head on a swivel. When you realize that something's amiss, you will get a fear spike. That's a behavioral response. That's your body's 80,000-year-old DNA survival system that's still here, that kept cavemen alive, right? You don't see any fucking dinosaurs doing CrossFit, right? Their arms are too short. right? And they didn't survive. But cavemen did because of the startle flinch and the survival mechanism and understanding. Awareness, fear spike. Oh shit, it's a giant wolf. Fucking run. Fear management, functional movement. And so that applies to everything. So even though a CrossFitter might be, I've had games champions, I've had games competitors, I've had regional, everybody struggles with a little bit of something. The difference with the CrossFitters, they don't quit. And I'm not talking about necessarily the defense WODs where we're actually like doing scenarios and putting some pressure on people. It could be anything. And it's funny, like for example, our combat stance, the spear stance, right? And I don't know if you can see me. I'm going to angle here. Let's make this dynamic for your audience, for your viewing pleasure. Can you see me still?
Yeah, looks good.
So if I'm in a spear stance, so I'm in a nonviolent posture and saying, hey man, I don't want any trouble. You guys can see me. I don't want any trouble. And then all of a sudden the fight happens and I do this sort of thing and I get into a more aggressive posture where I've got to hit somebody. This position here, can you see my feet, Jason?
Yeah.
Okay, this position here messes with CrossFitters. They're like this, like this, so like this, and they're overthinking it. So I do two things with them in the class. I go, hey, stand here like this. Let me see you split jerk. And the guy goes, I go, that's your stance. Get your hands up, right? It's not literally a split jerk. I'm not in a fight going to go and do a split jerk. But I show people that inside of CrossFit, if we hack it a little bit, if you understand the philosophy of the hack, is I can show you've already got this range of motion, this neuromuscular communication, this coordination. You can do it. If I said to somebody, so another kind of reframe is I'll say, stand here, get ready to run 400 meters, and they get like this. I go, there you go. Now put your hands up, right? And it's so what happens is even though they had that in them before, the fact that I'm learning self-defense goes into their neocortex somewhere, and they're like, it's cute, but they get it fast.
Well, CrossFitters clearly can adapt to anything physical very fast. You said you've worked with some games athletes, and you probably over the years have worked with some other high-level athletes. How is taking your CrossFit Defense course affecting them in the box? In other words, once they can tap into some of these lessons you're teaching them, are they able to perform better? I know for me, for example, when I took it, a lot of what you said really hit home, and if you can harness some of that fear, so to speak, that's running through your body pre-workout, you can really improve your performance. Are you seeing that at a higher level as well?
Oh yeah. There's a document we send out to our people who want to host us that has all these testimonials we've got, just so they can share it around the community and the boxes in their area. Because I hope that you get to a CrossFit Defense course and I bump into you in 10 years and you go, hey, guess what? No one ever freaking tried to attack me or kill me or anything. And I hope you go, well, like that's a good thing, right? And so, learning how to defend yourself can take a day, literally a day. It's just situational awareness and some functional movement. And there's this hidden arsenal inside of CrossFit that allows you to pick up shit so fast that you don't need to train for 4 years and get a black belt. And so what I tell people, probably the biggest takeaway from here is your ability to manage fear, any type of fear. And so the takeaway that athletes leaving the course and coaches leaving the courses is that they're better athletes, better coaches. I promise PRs, and I wish that was the name of the seminar. I promise PRs, right? And the reason for that is, so we're working on a new lecture called, this is a working title, Cheering Isn't Coaching. And so if I'm afraid of box jumps, am I going to go faster or slower when it's time for box jumps in a WOD?
Slower.
Right. If I'm afraid of a certain weight, in some sort of, Metcon or an EMOM, I'm afraid of a certain weight. Am I going to take longer to set up and overthink my movement? Yeah. So how important is time as a CrossFitter? Right? Every second counts. And so this idea is I tell people, part of our lecture in the course, we do a lecture on the whole fear, on the neural circuitry of fear, but we get towards the end of the lecture and we talk about what is the weight of fear? How much does fear actually weigh? And I'll tell you how much it weighs. Todd Thompson, a firefighter, CrossFit box owner, CrossFit Grit in Georgia, was working on his cleans, 290-pound clean, caught it too far out in front and tried to save it. Wrecked both wrists and hands. 18 months, couldn't hit 290 again. Healed, firefighter, lots of courage, right? Lots of tenacity. He's a firefighter. Fucking runs into burning buildings, right? I wouldn't do that. You wouldn't do that. We're like, no, you guys got this. It's okay. And so I don't know this. I don't know him. He shows up to a CrossFit Defense course. Sitting there, Saturday morning, we do the fear block. He gets up at lunch, cleans 290, then goes up, cleans, goes up, cleans, goes up to 305, fails on his next attempt. Comes up to me after, he says, you don't know this, we just met, we never talked, but I was listening to your block on fear and the weight of fear and the neural circuitry of fear and the fear loop, and I realized that I've been lifting in the fear loop since my accident, since the injury. And I could never break for a year and a half, could never break 290. But after he was sitting on a fucking chair, Jason, and then went and broke 290 from a talk. Kevin Ogar, who you know well, did my course. He wanted to learn it from self-defense. I couldn't believe this when I hung out with him at the games a couple of years ago. He said, I want to bring you down there. You know, he says, you wouldn't believe some of the shit that happens to me because I'm in a wheelchair. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Just insane. Same with Steph Hammerman, talking about like people just abusing people in wheelchairs. So Kevin wanted me to come down there, so we went to his box and did a seminar. The day after the seminar, he PR'd his bench press by 20 pounds. Posted on Instagram, but it was all just using some of the stuff that we teach in the fear management block. Nobody teaches us this stuff in school, right? We learn about the Chinook winds and some political shit and some historical this and geography. But, you know, we need to learn how to manage fear. And I always tell people this, understanding fear changes your life. Who you date, how much money you make, whether you open a CrossFit box or not, or stay in your job that you hate, whether you enter the open, and whether you defend yourself, has to do with how you relate to fear. I said to my wife, I said, are you entering the open this year? She goes, no. I said, why not? She goes, it's stupid. I'm not. Just do it for fun. Support the community. No, I'm not going to do it. I go, you don't want to do it because you're afraid. No, I'm not. Do you actually think that you're going to win the games this year? You're not going to win the games. You're not even going to get to regionals. Just fucking enter the open, right? But it's like the block is an unconscious conversation you have is like, how am I going to stack up? I really don't want to be last, right? And all of that is fear. Identity fear, ego fear. So if you can go, I'm not doing this because of fear, that changes your life. If you can manage it, right? And so that's the biggest thing. And this is, one of my rare tangents that you're all too familiar with. But to come back is how are these people, when they leave CrossFit Defense, how are they applying it every day in the box? They're applying in little ways. And the more experienced coaches are actually starting to give me feedback. They're integrating it with, so you look at this, as a box owner, as an experienced coach, fear is also going to influence how successful your affiliate is. Because people quit CrossFit because of fear, and people injure themselves because of fear, right? A fearful athlete is a tight athlete. And if you're tight mentally, you're tight physically. And so I keep hurting my back. I keep hurting me. By the way, before you hurt your back and you were about to pick up the bar, did you say to yourself, man, my back doesn't feel good right now, or I didn't warm up enough, or this weight feels heavy? And these are all the things. So we teach people it's the same way. Like if you thought you saw a shadow in the house and no one was supposed to be home, would you run into the house and going, who's here, who's here? Or would you grab your phone and fucking bolt across the street and call 911? In other words, when you get a pre-contact cue, you need to know what to do. And so this is all this shit that we teach. And so the application, the direct application for any type of sport is that mental toughness. The mind navigates the body.
You said a lot, but what stuck out the most is that you actually tried to argue with your wife, because I would never do that.
And you know her, so you know that that didn't do well. She actually ordered, I was sleeping on the couch, and I woke up in the morning, and there was like a blow-up doll that she had bought and blown up and put it on top of me. And anyways.
But I think you definitely touched on something important. It's like when you realize that fear is directing you, and for a lot of people, I think it's getting the ability to comprehend that and understand that. Because, why are you not doing the open? Because you're afraid. That's it. It's the end of the story. And if we can start to address some of those things, I think you're right, especially what you said as a box owner and as a coach. If we can start to see those things, we'll see less injury, and you'll have a more successful box.
Yeah, well, listen. I mean, if you're teaching privately in group class, your ability. So fear manifests itself in your tone, your eyes, your body language is 60% of your communication. So how many times have you back in the day, right now, like you've got your head together for this, but when you were first starting out, you walk in and you see a workout on the whiteboard, and you went, "Fuck," right? Right? You look at that. I mean, like, that's like walking into a bar and three guys go, "There he is," and you're like, "Oh fuck, I'm gonna fucking die today," right? And people say that, and then as you acclimate and as you stress inoculate and as you get better at your movements, you look at that same workout, it comes up again, and you go, "Man, this time I'm gonna go for it," and it's a little bit more aggressive, and then you get to the point where I'm going to fuck this wad up today, right? And then if you try really hard, it still kicks your ass, because it always does. But at least you were mentally confident, and guess what? You probably PR'd the shit out of it, right? So, intensity is always the magic ingredient in CrossFit, and intensity is the magic ingredient in winning a self-defense confrontation. So there's a lot of parallels. But I think the big thing for anybody in life is, again, if you realize that fear throttles what you want to do. And it can stymie it, and it could accelerate it. And if you understand how to use fear as a fuel, as a guide, as an inspiration, you go, "I'm going to do this because I'm afraid." That doesn't mean to be careless and reckless and cavalier about your safety, right? There's a process where you look at something and just don't do something. I don't believe in gravity. I'm afraid I'm going to jump off the roof and defy. No, you're going to get fucked up, right? And so don't be stupid about the expression of managing fear and stuff like that. But really, it'll change who you are as an athlete. It'll change who you are as a husband or a wife. You look at any problem. You have a big fight with your girlfriend that goes on for fucking 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 days, and then you guys make up and you go, "Why didn't you tell me that? I didn't know." And you're both sharing and emoting. Well, why didn't you do that 5 days ago? Because you were afraid. It's really it's something that took me a long time to realize. At 55, I realized it when I was 5 years old, but I'm just talking about it now. But no, I mean, that was a joke. But it took me fucking decades to go, shit. I mean, but I was always teaching this stuff, but actually to kind of like have it come full circle and see how transcendent it is in every aspect of our life. It was obvious when I was just focusing on the self-defense. But when I started to see CrossFitters and they connect to that, I go, well, there you go, And quite literally, I challenge people in the course. I go, what's the workout you hate, and why? Let's talk about it. And then I go, you did the cycle behavior, the neural circuitry of fear. You did this whole block on fear. Do me a favor. Think about it. Think about the workout. Think about the stages. Think about the strategy. And then when your head's clear, hit it, and let me know what your weight was, or what your time was, or and everyone who's ever done it, I'm not joking, everyone who's ever done it has PR'd whatever it was. Now, how can, we didn't go to meditate with Buddha. We didn't, do some performance enhancing type nutraceutical, there wasn't any, we didn't work out for like 6 months and try it again. It was like the week of the event. You finished on Sunday, do it this week. Everybody PRs. So that comes back to like how important is understanding fear and fear management. It's huge. It's everything.
I love it. Talking about fear management, are you still afraid of carbohydrates?
No, I understand them a little bit better. You probably noticed that I put on a tank top for this interview. I usually wear, much bigger shirt and jacket. It's so cold and brisk here. I think it's like 79 today in California. But you moved to Florida, so you're digging it too.
I love it. I was just saying today how amazing it is to have sun like this in October.
Isn't that crazy? I'm like, we're walking around in shorts and a tank top. It's so hot out here. But I'm down like 12 and a half pounds and feeling good. I'm not really afraid of carbohydrates.
So explain this. You have you and your wife living in the same house.
Yeah.
As well as some children, right? So,
correct.
But let's talk specifically about the adults. So I work with a lot of people for nutrition.
Yep.
How does your mindset differ from your wife's? And you've thus far been a little more successful when it comes to flexible eating than she has. So this will be really helpful for people that I work with to hear.
If she listens to this, I already talked about my wife. You made fun of me. You said, I can't believe you did that, and now you're interviewing me about my wife. If she sees this, both of us are fucking done.
Deep down, she loves me.
She does.
But, okay, we'll put it in a nice way since she's not going to get upset with you, but how can someone change their mindset on this style of eating? We're both CrossFitters. We come from the CrossFit world where whether we're paleo or a low-carb mentality, and hearing, hey, you can eat these carbs, we're focused on how much you're eating, and really what people need to understand is it's not much different than Coach Glassman laid out in 2005, 2006. We still recommend meats, vegetables, nuts, seeds, some fruit, little starch, no sugar. Keep that intake to levels that support exercise, not body fat. That's what flexible eating is.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I'm hesitating whether to say this, and I'm not going to. But it was what the whole. First of all, it's a mindset thing, right? So if I say to you, you need to learn how to fight, and you've got like a pacifist type orientation in your brain, you're going to go, no thanks. If I go, well, you need to know how to defend yourself, you might go, no thanks. And I say, but I want you to be able to protect your family. Okay, talk to me about that. That I'll do. And so to me, there's a psychology of you need to go on a diet, right? It's like when people bump into me and they go, hey, are you still doing that diet? And I'm like, obviously not. If you're asking me, do I look horrible? Right? It's semantics. It's connotation. What's attractive about just understanding the psychology of getting people to move is flexible nutrition sounds way better than dieting, right? It's a cool, and understanding that flexible nutrition is, as you said, it's very much a zone protocol, very close in terms of percentages and stuff like that. And it allows people to, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it allows people to cozy on up to the idea that they're going to change their nutrition without it being like this cold turkey, rigid. And so the psychology of it, listen, everyone went on it in the family. My daughter Olivia, she was doing great, for a bit, but she's young as far as her discipline. Jessie loved it when she first started, but Jessie got very frustrated, and I think it's a timing thing. She got frustrated, Jason, because it was just at this period in her life, mid 40s, and her body changing and stuff like that. I think she got more. It was more of a psychological thing where she wasn't seeing the changes fast enough. Me, I've got a lot of cortisol fat on me from just running a business for 30 years and all the shit, the weight of the world. I'm an incredibly, my passion for people's safety. I take it to bed with me. I leave a seminar going, man, did I teach them everything I could? I know I only had 2 days. I'm exhausted from it. And so, but I was up to, and I wore it well, But I was at like 207 pounds when I saw your picture online. And I'm going, okay, Jason's dying or he's on a fucking amazing new fucking nutrition fitness program. And I was like texting you, dude, what's going on? And you're going flexible nutrition. And we talked, and it's only been a couple of months, and I've been traveling so much that I'm not even doing it, like in terms of like logging but your explanation of it and the information that you shared, I mean, I'm down to, this morning I was 195.5. And I'm down, my best weight was 192 like 20 years ago, right? I mean, I'm a big, thick guy. Like I'm 3 pounds away from that. I'm 55 years old. And all I'm doing is like, I just understand the principle of, eat as much as supports, you can't, the expression, you can't out-train a bad diet, right? And so, we were talking this morning, it was really funny as, you bring up Jessie, but she said something about, what we were eating. And I said, you can have too much fucking broccoli and you're going to get fat. It doesn't matter that it's good for you. It's too much, So I dig the whole thing. I think you're doing amazing stuff. Your before and after photos of the athletes and people you're coaching is great. But a lot of it is, to me, I connect to it as like me teaching self-defense. I need a day with somebody. And then it's just a lifestyle thing. It's like, hey, when you go here, look around. And now make a smart choice. Like, get off your phone when you're walking across the street. It's making a smart choice about your safety. And so this is like, we know that nutrition impacts our quality of life from an external cosmetic egotistical level to, wait a minute, I didn't know that if I lose less weight, it's better on my joints, my ligaments, inflammation, I'm less prone. So to me, proper nutrition is a part of self-defense too. So I don't know if I answered your question. So that was my second tangent today. No.
Answered it in a way that your wife will let you sleep in bed with her.
She'll be like, what did he say about me? I don't even understand that. Did anyone else understand that? I think it's amazing. And it's no different than what Coach Glassman prescribed. What it is, it's a 2016 thing. There's a fucking badass app that helps you track your macros. For me, I look at stuff and I'm just like, I do it. And it's almost like, okay, I need this. Oh, wait a minute. The other day, I was traveling a lot. I needed to go to a movie and just clear my voice. I ate way too much popcorn, and that was my carbs. I'm not having any more carbs. And that's not the right way to do it. That's not the healthy way to do it. But guess what? It's like bad programming. Like goes, we're going to do push press, then we're going to do snatches, then we're going to do handstand push-up, then you're going to do walking handstands. You're going, isn't that too much shoulder? No, like it's bad programming, right? There's a limit, or at some point you're going to fuck something up. So understanding how to balance that it's good programming.
And I think the best thing you said is with all of that, it's a mindset, and it's understanding, and it's making smart, conscious decisions throughout your day, whether it's to defend yourself or to eat right.
Yeah, it's everything, and I loved that article you posted lately, and I love some of the recently I meant to say, and some of the talk about in the community about RX weights and stuff like that. We need to be safer. We need to be safe. If you're safer, I injured my back, my neck, and my shoulder from 40 years of martial arts, and I've got with a coach now, Jason from Offshore CrossFit, who's been rebuilding my core. My posture's changed. I'm so much stronger. The pain is going away. Who'd have thought fucking functional movement would fix you? But like for 30 years, I was internally rotated, angled over like this, fucking fighting and doing stuff, and that's how I walked around all the time. But I never had somebody approach it the way he has, and it's making me safer, right? And so like choose safety is a mantra from the course. And people go, oh yeah, so we were talking about fighting. I'm going, no, choose safety in life, right? Be smart. That's all.
Love it. I love it. And I think if people have listened to this, they're smarter.
I hope so. Hey, let's get a seminar in Florida soon.
I would love to, because I do, regardless if we get to Florida or if I have to come to Vegas, as tough as that sounds, I do want to check out the course
The new
because
course.
lately it seems like it's all over the internet. I've seen games athletes. I've seen you just having a blast, and I want to get there again. And firsthand experience, I recommend it. So I'm going to be taking it again, but hopefully it's in my backyard.
Yeah. Okay, man. I gotta go. I gotta go. Imagine this. I'm gonna go CrossFit now.
Sounds like a plan.
Peace
It's been
out.
great having you.
Thank you, buddy.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
Later.